Hey there. If you have recently had your color season palette done and something feels off, this episode is especially for you. As you may know, this year I've been immersed in personality hacker and learning the skill of conversational personality profiling. If you want to know your best fit Myers-Briggs type and which Jungian cognitive functions you're using, I can help with that. Sometimes within the profiler community, someone will get a little overzealous about questioning someone else's type, unintentionally undermining that person's identity. It can be a real shock to discover someone sees you differently than you see yourself. And the same thing can happen with your personal best colors. I'm Rebecca Mielke. As your visual identity guide, I take you on a journey of self-discovery so you can align your inner and outer self, show up confidently, and contribute your gifts to better our world. To get started reconciling the palette you've been assigned with your identity, I invite you to download my new free guide, Discover Your Style DNA, a guide to seasonal energy and personality colors. You can find the link in the show description or at my website, signaturestylesystems.com. So you went in to get your color season palette. Sure, you were a winter, very comfortable in black and white and blue, only to be told you were actually a summer and now you're afraid you're going to disappear. Or maybe you thought you were a spring, but the experts said you were an autumn, but you don't actually think you like those colors. Now what? This happens more than you think. I see you, I hear you, and I understand exactly why this feels challenging. Let's talk about how this disconnect happens and what you can actually do about it. Um, and first, before we even jump into that, um, I just want to say this may be confusing to you why I'm talking about color season palettes, but because like maybe you've heard that I do like design custom palettes, and that is really my specialty, but that doesn't mean that we can't work together if you prefer to do have or you already have a seasonal palette, or you've just had a seasonal palette and you're not sure how to work with it. Um, and I do understand the seasons. So first, in some common reactions when you receive your color palette, let's just acknowledge some of where that resistance comes from. Maybe you're feeling resistant because you think that colors are either too muted or too bright. Or perhaps you feel disconnected from what you think this palette says about your personality. You might even be wondering if the analysis was somehow wrong, and that does happen. These feelings are completely normal. It's natural to feel disappointed when expectations don't match reality, or when you feel like somebody isn't actually seeing the real you. It's easy to feel confused about next steps or be uncertain about how to make this palette work for you. So what nobody tells you during your color analysis, getting your season is like being handed a beautiful new set of paints, but nobody's teaching you how to actually create the masterpiece that is authentically you. So think about like Picasso was handed blue paint. Did that mean he could only paint peaceful ocean scenes? No. He created his blue period full of emotion, depth, and even melancholy. Same colors, completely different energy. Your season is exactly the same way. Let's break down some common misconceptions. So, your palette is not synonymous with your style personality. We humans like mental shortcuts. When it comes to seasons, sometimes being a winter is coded as dramatic in our minds, summer as soft-spoken, autumn as crunchy, and spring as light and airy. You might not identify with any of those, or you might identify with a different concept than the one that would be attached to the name of your color season. But if you consider your best colors tools, you can achieve any of those looks within any palette. You just need creativity or help. And then another misconception, you don't need to dress head to toe in your palette. Yes, the colors that are in your palette will, or they should, work harmoniously together. But, and especially when you're transitioning, you can ease into it. I've heard stories, lots of them, from people who got their colors done and then immediately rushed in, got rid of everything in their closet that wasn't on their palette, only to later wish that they had kept certain items. Honestly, the one I hear the most that they wish they had kept, believe it or not, it's not black, it's white. And I can definitely see why, especially when it comes to summer clothes. I'm going to come back to what I recommend in some of these situations, but here is first a peek behind the scenes. So even style experts have these challenges, and there are a couple ways it can go. Recently, at a color draping training event, one of the women getting her colors was shocked to learn she was a summer. But the colors really did complement her skin tone the best. Now she has an opportunity to learn to use them in a creative way to stand out from the crowd. On the other hand, I've seen many uh, online articles by people who had gotten into doing color analysis themselves strictly because, or initially because, they had their colors done by an expert and they didn't resonate with the palette. Um, and then I've seen those pictures and the palettes were obviously wrong in those cases. Also, experts don't always agree yeah, at different times they might say different things, but also I think even if you were to go to an event where a bunch of people were getting trained in color analysis and a bunch of the people there were experts, they're not agreeing on every person that they see. So even though they're standing there looking at the same person in the same light with the same color drape, they're not necessarily agreeing which one looks the best. So this is why, in my philosophy, the client is always the expert on themselves. Nevertheless, it can be hard to see yourself objectively. So let's get practical. Here are immediate steps you can take. If you've got a new palette, you can audit your current wardrobe with the new palette lens. Don't focus on perfection though. Ask yourself, is this close enough? That's the idea with a palette is it's not supposed to have every color, only the exact colors that are on there. It's just when you hold the color that you're considering up to the palette, does it kind of blend? Does it harmonize? Does it have the same color qualities? Then you can identify your favorite pieces in your wardrobe. If they're in or close to the new palette, then they become a wardrobe cornerstone for you. And then for your favorite pieces that don't align, just keep them. In my opinion, yeah, if you love it, and you feel confident wearing it, you should keep on wearing it. Then look for creative ways to mix them with colors in your palette, or just keep wearing them for now until it's worn out or you just don't love it anymore. Then just as you're shopping and replacing items, buy the things that are the most flattering on you. Although you could have a reason to buy things that are outside of your palette, and here's an example. Say you were given a palette which seems to be mostly really dark, heavy colors, and you live somewhere like the South or the tropics where it's too hot to wear those colors most of the time. Here's a strategy that you can use mentally: edit out or just ignore all the dark colors in your palette and build your wardrobe from the few light to medium colors in your palette and your best white. So as you move forward, you can consider playing with different color combinations within your palette. That could be fun. Using texture, line, and pattern in ways that harmonize with your body's design. This is one of the basic things that I do that I can help you with in my program. You can focus on incorporating accessories in a personalized way and finding ways to inject your personal aesthetic into your wardrobe within your new palette. So your season isn't a box to fit into, it's a foundation to build upon. If your season feels wrong, it doesn't necessarily mean the colors aren't good for you. You could actually be discovering something crucial about your style DNA. And realistically, the colors could be wrong too. That happens. But it could also be your style intuition speaking up, telling you there's more for you to discover. Maybe it's not saying this season is wrong. Maybe it's saying there's more to me than just these colors. And you know what? That's exactly where the real magic happens. Because understanding how to bridge the gap between your seasonal colors and your personal style essence, that's where you discover your true signature style. Your true signature style includes your colors, yes, but so much more. It includes your textures, your silhouette, your proportions, and most importantly, your aesthetic and your personality. Next week, we're going to dive deeper into exactly how to bridge that gap between your colors and your confidence. But for now, I want you to try something. Instead of thinking, these colors don't feel like me, try asking yourself, how can I make these colors feel like me? Notice the difference? One shuts the door, the other opens them. Now your brain goes to work making it happen. Remember, getting your season isn't the end game of your style journey, it's just the beginning. If you're feeling that disconnect, you're not doing anything wrong. You're actually right on track for discovering something amazing about yourself. Thanks for being here for the Signature Style Systems podcast. Until next week, have fun being you. And remember, the most interesting people aren't just putting on clothes that look good on them, they're showing up in the world as who they authentically are.